The theme for this week's Scott's Thoughts was all about, digging deep. And we were inspired by the story of the Grace volleyball team that had to win 3 matches over 13 sets over 6 hours of competition to earn their way to state. They started at 6 p.m. By the time it finished, it was past midnight, and they just had to continually go to the well and keep digging and keep going back for more. And that's easy to do once or maybe even twice, Scott, but I wanted to know, how do you continue to go to the well and continue to try and dig deep time after time after time? And so those are this week's Scott's Thoughts.
Yeah, when we talked about this topic, it was really about pushing yourself to the limit and getting that extra, because we all can get psyched up for a game, but to have that little extra when you're tired is really what it's about. So this one is about kind of pushing limits and gladiator mentality and those kinds of things. So here we go. It's the state cross country meet, and you're the coach of one of the most talented runners in the state. On this stage, it's time for your athlete to shine. All season long, he's been shredding the competition and not really being challenged. This is his moment. As the race begins, your runner comes out of the gate hot, setting a blistering pace, and it's enough to ensure a lead at the midpoint of the race. However, with 800 meters to go, your athlete runs by you on the way to the finish line, but there's something wrong. The look in his eyes as he passes tells you all you need to know. With 500 meters left, the field is closing in fast. And by the 200-meter mark, the dream is over. A third-place finish was not supposed to happen. So why did it? What did you see in the eyes of your runner? Well, if you've competed long enough, we've all seen it. It's that vacant look where physical fatigue meets mental exhaustion. And the ability to push through, well, that's the light that just went out in your runner's eyes. The gladiator mentality, the ability to fight forward and the strength to overcome physical and mental exhaustion. It's something that separates the great from the good and the first place runner from your third place athlete. A while back, we talked about the power of the mind, and what the mind believes, the body will follow. Well, this week we take it a step further. It's one thing to psych yourself up for the big game and not crumble under the weight of the moment, but it's something completely different to reach physical exhaustion and find the mental fortitude to push past our limits. And this takes the mental side of sports to a whole new level. You see, your body can withstand almost anything. It's your mind that you have to convince. Research suggests that the mind has a built-in safety switch that shuts itself down before your body reaches its physical limitations. And for most of us, that's where we shut it down too. That's the point where the effort plateaus, the workout ends, and we call it a day. And while the average athlete showers up and leaves the building because they did all they could, the champion stays behind and realizes that you either push your limits or you suffocate in your comfort zone. In the crucible of competition, the mind and its unrelenting grit must forge a bond where the will must be stronger than the skill. The problem is, how do we do it? How do we take the leap from packing it in when things get uncomfortable to welcoming the struggle and knowing that there is more in the tank if we're just willing to believe it? Well, first of all, you got to remember this. There is a difference between pushing limits and being reckless. And all athletes who journey down this path, you have to understand that all bets are off if you don't take care of your body. This includes nutrition, sleep, hydration, stretching, strength training. You get the idea. That has to come first. Now, that said, the mind is the birthplace of both good and bad habits. And a lot of trainers believe that the mind must be developed prior to the body, and that most coaches spend too much time on the physical and not nearly enough on the mental. For late in the game, when they need their exhausted athlete to make a play, that light in their eyes dims, and the physical overtakes the mental. What an athlete has to realize is that getting to this level of gladiator mentality takes unwavering discipline, or everyone would be Maximus. The key is to familiarize yourself with fatigue to the absolute point of exhaustion. For example, in practice, if your coach has conditioning at the end of practice and you're running ladders, push yourself so hard that when you finish, you feel like you've reached your limit and there's nothing left in the tank. And then do one more. Apply this philosophy to the weight room, to the classroom, to the film room. Apply this mentality to life. Test your limits and teach yourself to push beyond them in all aspects of life, because limits are nothing more than your thoughts. And your mind is a battlefield. Don't be its soldier, be its commander. And realize it's not going to happen overnight, but if you quit, it won't happen at all. And while you are pushing yourself to the brink, you smile. No, seriously, you smile. As you push yourself past your limits, research does suggest that smiling in tough moments changes attitude. And better attitudes burn less energy. And better attitudes are more relaxed. However, you still have to be committed to the change. You don't always have to be motivated. You just have to be disciplined. And discipline is doing what you hate to do, but doing it like you love it. And that's why there are not many gladiators. However, when you do encounter these champions on the field, pitch, court, you know who they are. They're recognized by their capacity to always find another gear, their ability to always make the big play, their dogged determination to not succumb to the physical. These are the warriors who don't let their worst enemy live between their ears. Look, physical fatigue happens to everyone, but when it dominates the mind, the wrong party is driving the bus. Overpower, overtake, overcome. It's a mindset, it's an attitude. And this attitude, although elusive to most, is what can make the difference in the color of trophy won at a state tournament. In closing, we all get tired to the point of stopping. We all feel like we've reached our limits and can't go on, and we all come up with a million excuses as to why we quit or didn't give the effort of a gladiator. When my body gets tired, my mind says, this is where winners are made. When my mind gets tired, my heart says, this is where champions are made. Average people quit when they're tired. Gladiators quit when they're done. And those are Scott's thoughts.